Hi, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm the host of this channel, Best of Us Investors. In this video, I'm going to cover a lot of ground because I've made a pretty brash statement here that I'm going to have a 53x in my portfolio over the next 10 years, and that I'm certain of it. And with that in mind, I need to substantiate it. I am a retired financial advisor. I have been in this business for some 30, 40 years. I sold my business and retired, and now I share my knowledge. This is not financial advice. This is knowledge. So let's get right into it. Let's get rid of the disclaimer, and then let me share with you that at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you some information that just might be the most important investment information you will ever receive in your life, because it is going to control what is going to happen in our world economy for probably the next 40, 50 years. And as I say, if you'll learn this and keep this in your mind in your investment career, you won't go wrong. Okay, not financial advice. We'll get right to it.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Grinkmeyer.
As I said, I've been in this business for a long time, and I think when you're in a tough time, and we're certainly in a tough time right now, the best thing you can do is look at history and say to yourself, has this ever happened before? And if it has, what exactly happens after it happens? And so I constantly go to this chart, and it takes me back to my investment experience that goes back to the dot-com bubble, takes me through the subprime crisis, takes me through the coronavirus, and brings me to today. And what I have learned in this, in my adult years, whenever something happens that shouldn't happen, it leads to calamity. It leads to stupid things happening. And I remember walking on the beach in Bradenton, Florida, with my son in 1999, and I said, Trent, this is just wrong. There are secretaries out in Silicon Valley, California, becoming millionaires as a result of dot-coms. This was the time when everybody was throwing a dot-com after their name, and everybody knew that the world was going to change dramatically, and everybody had a dot-com was going to make a lot of money. Well, it didn't happen that way, and secretaries aren't supposed to become millionaires, and so it exploded. And then about 8 years later, we had pole dancers and people buying multiple homes at ridiculous interest rates and ridiculous banking circumstances. And I said to myself, this can't happen. This isn't the way the economy works. And sure enough, it exploded. And then we had, right after the coronavirus, we had this craziness that was stimulated by throwing $9 trillion into the market. We even had a group of, and I admire these people. These were the gamers who had discords, and they got together and said, let's hand Wall Street its lunch. And it knew that Wall Street knew that GameStop was going to go bankrupt because nobody was going into their stores to get their games. But they also knew, some smart fella recognized, that Wall Street was shorting it. Over 50% of its shares were shorted. And so these folks said, there's a limited trading on it. Let's us just go in and trade it and run that price up and catch these shorts with their shorts down. And that happened. Well, that isn't supposed to happen. And then after it happened, they said, wait, the theaters are closed too. Let's do it to AMC. So these things aren't supposed to happen. My regret is that I didn't see this and get out in November and say, this is nonsense. But I didn't. So I have to live with that. But what I've learned and from my past experience is that when things like this happen, when the correction is made, there is always a surge afterwards. And what you've got to figure out is what is going to stimulate that surge and what companies are going to benefit from it. And what did you learn during the upstroke? Well, the upstroke was totally financed by the federal government in reaction to the coronavirus, because we recognized our healthcare system was broken, that we could totally annihilate the population of the world if we didn't get it under control and get it under control fast. Well, they went to some technology that was happening since 2000. Back in 2000, a company was doing genome sequencing to find the map of the human body, and it cost $1 billion to have it done. Well, over those 20 years, they brought the price of that down to under $1,000. It's down around $500 right now, and they used that technology to find the vaccine to get rid of the disease that was killing us, the infection that was killing us. That technology then was adopted by the genome sequencing world, and we are about to enter a super business cycle. And that is to say, much as the digital revolution in 1989 was a super business cycle, a change in the way the world was run. Think about it. Before 1998, we did not have computers. We did not have access to the internet. Everything in the world today runs on the internet. Everything. That is a super cycle. Out of that super cycle gave the birth of most of the companies in the world today. But preceding that, we had a crash. It was called the dot-com bubble. And I want to show you these charts to make some comparisons for you as to what this can signal to you. I've shown you here Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Yes, NVIDIA was around back then, and Google and Tesla. And I've shown you where they are today relative to this downturn. Then I show you 2008, and I want you to focus on 2000. This is where the companies that were going to bring us the world change dropped. 82% for Apple, 94%, yes, for Amazon, 66% for Microsoft. And look what NVIDIA did. It went up 1,482%. It was something like a $1.60 stock that went up to $6. But what I want you to do then is compare the numbers to the health cure revolution that's going to coming, and compare their downstrokes to the downstrokes of the digital revolution. And here you can see 91%, 90%, down 80%, down 7%. They are being destroyed because they have risk attached to them. They aren't making money yet, but then neither was Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft in 2000. They weren't making money. So the market deserted them. The same thing is happening now. Now, all you have to make this bridge, all you have to do is say, do I believe in the science? Do I believe that it is possible that and if you haven't read the science, you don't know. I have read. I know that there are people right now. I talked to a doctor last Friday that told me he put a needle in a lady's arm, in a child's arm, and it took sickle cell anemia out of their body. How did that happen, Doc? We attached a cassette to CRISPR, and that CRISPR went to the genome deficiency, the mistake in the genome, cut it out, replaced it with a proper one, and the sickle cell went out of that body's cells. That is happening. Well, when, Carrie, why isn't it happening in my hospital? Why don't I know about it? Why aren't these? Because it takes FDA approval. The dot-com bubble, or the dot-com, the internet did not take FDA approval. All they had to do was get it up and get it running. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So once you believe in the science, and then you understand what a super cycle is, a total change in the way the world is going to be run from that point on, you recognize that companies are going to explode. Again, I want you to show you this chart, how the effect of the dot-com, or the digital revolution, the digital super cycle, affected the overall evaluation of the stock market. Went from 13.4 trillion to 53.3 trillion from 1998 to 2001. Now, we are bound 30%. Hey, that sounds a lot like the dot-com bubble. And we will then proceed forward. So what are the stocks that I own that I believe is going to give me a 53% bump? Here is a picture of them. Here they are. Stop your camera, or stop your YouTube, and hit print screen, and you can print it. And then what I've done is, this is totally on me, I've put the X factor as to how I believe my current portfolio of 119,000 is going to grow to about 6.3 million in the next 5 to 10 years. That's what I believe. I've then shown you the areas in which they are working. Now, relative to today's market, I did a video and I put it out to my tribe, my platinum members only. And here's just a graph that I shared with them. What it's showing you is the investment habits of smart money. These are the people who go out and find these new fledgling companies and give them seed money, and then give them some round A money and round B money. And what this chart is showing you is a comparison from first quarter, second quarter, the quarters. And as you can see, in first quarter 2022, where we are today, the money is continuing to flow there. I just saw on CNBC this morning, a gentleman came on and shared with the commentators that the insiders from some of the major companies are investing in their own stock. Millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. Now, why is this important? It is, in fact, showing their confidence in their stock. Well, they're manipulating their stock. No, they have only a small window that they can invest in. They cannot invest in prior to earnings statements. Shortly after earnings statements, they can come in and say, okay, now I have this window, I can buy shares. And the CEOs and the CFOs and the heads of marketing are buying in. The smart money is buying into this crash, this dip. It's not a dip, it is a crash. And if you are smart, you will. I just shared with you where I think it should be invested. I will add to that my big six, and that is Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, NVIDIA, and I'll add Tesla. In fact, I sold Tesla last October, and you all said I was crazy, but guess what? It's below where I sold it in October. Now, the most important information you will see, you will hear for your future investment habits is about to come right now. I want you to look at this demographic chart. This is a demographic chart of Russia. If you understand demographics, you have to have young people work to support the aging population. On the bottom of this demographic, you see that the young people are a smaller part of the Russian population than the old people. This is a dying civilization. If this was your farm and you had fewer children than you had adults, you better get to making some babies. Or you need to invade the farmer next door and get his young people. You got no choice. You are in a decaying population. That is why Vladimir is invading Ukraine. Now I want you to see the similar demographic chart of China. Do you see a resemblance there? This is the most important information, investing information you will ever receive. This tells you what these two countries have to do, not to prosper, to survive. Think of it again in your family. Has anybody, what happens when families stop having children? That family disappears. That's what's happening in Russia, and that's what's happening in China. Well, you might be asking, what does the U.S. demographic chart look like? Here it is. Do you see? We have a slight problem, but it is nothing like the problem in Russia and China. The other thing that I would share with you, we pretty much allow immigration. Okay? These two countries do not. Nobody wants to immigrate to these two countries. So this is your key for your future investing. Who is going to survive this change in our world? And it's upon us. If you think, oh, that's off in the future, turn on your TV tonight and see what's happening in Ukraine. And ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why are they destroying that landscape? Right there it is. That is why. You now have an advantage. Because I will share with you that most of the people in this world don't know what I just told you. How do I know it? I've been telling you for 2 years to read this book. and most of you think all I'm trying to do is make a buck off of Amazon's affiliate program. This predicted, it's written in 2014, and on page 182, it says Russia will invade Ukraine. The only thing Peter got wrong was he said it would happen in 2020 rather than 2022. This is what this channel's all about. It's not about what's going to happen on the stock market today. I could care less. What it's about is how do you make good investment decisions, not based on some talking YouTube 26-year-old. It's based on knowledge and experience. And if you ignore that, you're just damn stupid. Join our tribe. We are a collection of people that are going to come together and use this internet, much as the gamers used it to beat Wall Street on GameStop and AMC. We're going to use it to beat the Wall Street on the next super business cycle. I will increase my portfolio by 53x in the next 10 years. From as far as you're concerned, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Either keep following the herd or educate yourself. Come on. Who makes the most money in the world? The people who educate themselves, the people who have knowledge. Do you know that there are people who pay Warren Buffett $33 million to have lunch with him? Why don't they just read his damn books? Talk to you tomorrow.